Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special TV show commentary brought to you from me in more ways than one because I uploaded the episodes to YouTube that we're using. Link in the description. Okay, let's talk about literature. And before anybody in the audience says anything, shut up. Literature is important.
Ew, reading.
Hey. Most of your favorite movies came from books that you probably don't even know existed.
All right, let's dial all the way back to the 18th century. Was it? No, the 19th century, sorry. Ugh. There was an author, a Canadian author called Lucy Maud Montgomery. And fun fact, she was a very progressive woman for her time. She was born in 1874, and the book that we're covering today came out in 1908. So that's her most famous novel. And it became the most beloved Canadian novel, one of the most, at least, beloved Canadian novels. It's considered a classic children's novel since the mid-20th century, basically. And there has been a lot of adaptations. And today the one we're going to be covering is, well, the anime adaptation. Okay, so let's address what exactly is this adaptation. What are you talking about, Pedro? An anime adaptation of a Western book? What is this nonsense? Well, everybody, let me take you all the way back to the 1970s, to Nippon Animation. Nippon Animation actually had a very special series of animes called the World Masterpiece Theater. What is that? Basically, they would take beloved Western books and adapt them into 50-episode animes. They did it with The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, for example, to Jova's delight, I'm sure. And I don't think they took, and I'm sure to possibly Taylor's delight, they adopted an Italian story with Marco. I forgot the actual name of the book. I don't know if the book itself is called Marco as well.
I'm gonna check in the meantime. Go on.
The point is, it was a very cool concept. I would love to see a lot of more modern books be adapted this way because it's arguably a much better way. The idea is that these animes would basically put the book on screen over the course of 50 episodes. As a result, the filmmakers had the ability to just put everything, all those juicy details on screen that you would usually not be able to put if you're just making a movie. A lot of people debate for like some of the best beloved ones are the Tom Sawyer one, the Heidi Girl of the Alps one, but a lot of people argue that the peak of the series was Anne of Green Gables because, okay, Anne of Green Gables is very notified because it had some incredible gifted people working on it. Let's see if you guys heard about this. One of the layout artists and animators was this guy. He's a bit obscure. I don't know if you guys know him. He's called Hayao Miyazaki. I don't know if you guys heard about this guy.
No. Wait. I remember he was one of the many directors who tried to work on and quit the development of Little Nemo Adventures in Dreamland.
I also think he uploaded a bunch of movies to Netflix recently. I haven't seen any of them yet.
Yes, everybody. The world-renowned Hayao Miyazaki was one of the animators, but he wasn't a director, actually. The lead writer and director of this series actually is Isao Takahata, the other Studio Gibli god that doesn't get, unfortunately, as much recognition as Miyazaki does. Basically, everybody, for those who aren't familiar with Isao Takahata, you know the girl with fireflies. So anybody who has seen that movie knows how powerful of a film he can make.
As in, you're probably still wiping your tears at the moment.
Basically, yeah.
He ain't got mine because I'm not watching that movie.
Does this mean that this will be making us sob as well with this series?
Well, Jova, you can actually blame Lucy on this one because the book is just this way. This is basically the book put on screen. So
like I say, though, are we going to be sobbing up a storm with this one?
We'll see.
For those who don't know who Isao Takahata is, let me use a Pixar analogy. Isao Takahata is the Pete Docter to Hayao Miyazaki's John Lasseter, in the sense that in the way that Hayao Miyazaki is a bit more crowd pleasing, and I don't mean that in a negative way, for the record. As in, his movies are more approachable to a mainstream, casual movie-going audience. Whereas Pete Docter would make something like Soul or that's a bit that's much more artistic, much more adult-minded. Whereas it's not Takahata's the same. Whereas to give you guys an idea, back in 1988, Miyazaki made My Neighbor Totoro, a movie that pretty much everybody loves. It's very happy and cheerful and blah blah blah. In the same year, Takahata released Grave of the Fireflies, one of the most, if not the most depressing films ever made.
Yeah.
So as you can see, Takahata is much more of he's a much more unconventional filmmaker in comparison. Like he doesn't make films for the purpose of appealing to a mass audience. He makes films to genuinely tell a story, no matter how unapproachable it might be to certain people. Like he's a more bold filmmaker in comparison. And this was one of his primary big works before Studio Ghibli, and of Green Gables. The interesting thing is that this anime has an English dub. And it was an English dub made in South Africa with actors that seem to be British. Now I know what some of you.
I mean, South Africans do have a somewhat similar accent to us, but with a few differences.
Guys, Britain colonized Africa here and there.
This is a Canadian novel, so some of you might be wondering, well, why the hell aren't there Canadian accents in this? Well, basically, everybody. For a long time, nobody even knew this English dub existed. It only surfaced when it was officially uploaded on YouTube in 2016.
Yep.
So basically, everybody, and as for you, Canada, any of you Canadians out there complaining about the wrong accents, well, Canada, maybe if you got off your asses and made your own dub, maybe this one be.
Considering the quality of your average Canadian dub, I afraid what the results might be.
Don't you see? They were much too busy on the genius that is the Dragon Ball Z Canadian dubs. Especially with Big Green.
You made your bed, you lie in it, I guess.
Okay. All right. I think that's enough of an intro. Basically, everybody, the idea is that this is literally the book put on screen. This is even a lot of the narration stuff from the book is in here. So that's a very storytelling narration type of structure. So it's very cool. A lot of the narration is basically copy pasted from the book to give you an idea of how faithful it is. Okay, so let's start at 0, everybody. This is my upload, so you're safe. Just go on the description there, and you should be fine. 3, 2, 1, click.
Fun fact, I actually kinda grew up with these two, with its Italian version named the same as a book called Redhead Anna. Unfortunately, a lot of my memories of these have kinda passed away, so this is gonna be essentially a refresher.
I grew up with the Portuguese dub. This anime was a huge success in my country. It was one of the first major big Portuguese dubs.
Which apparently has the same at the same name translation as mine, essentially.
Anime here in Britain was really niche up until around 1999 or
I'm
so.
flying, Jack. I'm flying.
Thanks to Pixie from Nia.si. Basically, I don't know if it's a he or a she, but that person took the Japanese Blu-rays and put in the English audio, so we can finally watch the dub with the remastered visuals.
So what is So what is particularly renowned about this story, if I may ask?
The fact that basically the coming of age story that takes place over various years, and it has some of the most brilliant character writing in any book ever.
Anyway, episode 1 is called Matthew Cuthbert is Surprised.
Okay, allow me. Matthew Cuthbert is Surprised covers the first 2 chapters of the book, and lo and behold, the second chapter of the book is Matthew Cuthbert is Surprised. See, even the chapter names are here.
Oh yeah, this definitely feels like, well, this feels definitely like beta Ghibli footage in the sense like, well, it definitely feels like Ghibli footage, but it wasn't like to the point where they were,
Alright, let me see. DB.
So yeah, here's our main character, Anne Shirley. She's 11, and she's an orphan, and she's on her way to a new home.
Huh,
in Nova Scotia.
Huh, a red-headed orphan. Nah, that would never catch on.
Where did her face go?
It's a common thing to spare animation budget that they do with faraway shot strips.
Wake up, man, we're filming.
So much so we had to frame you in there. Hey, Matt.
He's very shy.
It's all part of honor.
You know, the narrator sounds more like he's video description track than narrating.
Remember what Pedro said, Vips. This is actual narration from the book.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
it's
this is
to
very
set things
audiobook
up.
like reading.
Sadly, okay, probably try to do better research in the next couple of days, but IMDb doesn't list the English cast.
That's the thing too. The English dub is very obscure. So...
That's a shame. I kind of like these voice actors.
Oh, it's actually a really good dub. That's the interesting.
We're having another low track situation.
Anyway, this is Rachel Lynn from that, because the first chapter of this book is called Rachel Lynn is Very Surprised, and that's what they're covering right now. This is her Marilla's friend, Rachel Lynn.
So this show originally broadcast on Fuji TV in Japan in 1979.
Yep.
Okay, forgot which year my country got it. I'll probably search it later.
Okay, so yeah, to recap, Shiroi, they're getting a little boy to help them on with the farm because, you know, Matthew's not exactly getting any younger, so of course they need to get a boy to help
yes.
adopting.
He thinks there may have been a mix-up.
By the way, I have seen the first couple of episodes of this.
Well, it is important to remember that this novel takes place in the 19th century. So, of course, and for the sake of being faithful, Takahata remains faithful to the book, which was also very faithful in the way that things were dealt with back then. So you have to understand that some of these things, of course, it's just because of the time period that this story takes place in.
Well, yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. In true tradition, at the time, my country got a sort of super deluxe treatment, and the series was broadcasted 1 year after the Japanese release in 1980.
Mm-hmm. My dub came out in 1991.
Again, it's so bizarre how my country
and
keeps
yeah, you can tell
spoiled.
Hayao Miyazaki was a layout artist and animator. Look at this. This looks gorgeous. The backgrounds look gorgeous. The character animation is great.
The only thing that's missing is the intricate details of a plane.
She's a
I mean, he's not the director.
I love this one. Here's some irony. I love this one here.
Jesus.
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Right, yeah. It's a good thing.
I'm not totally setting myself up for later.
Okay, one thing I've noticed about the voice acting here, it's basically trying but not quite succeeding, escaping the speed racer kind of dubbing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm assuming this is a South African studio. They probably don't have the same resources and experience that the more experienced dubbing studio have. But hey, at the very least, someone bothered to dub this into English. Where's your dub, Canada? Well, again, where's your dub, Canada?
And I heard much worse adaptation, especially from small studios. Remember, if you watched YourMovieSucks.org coverage of Kimba the White Lion, you will know that the second series was voiced in English by a very small studio, and it sounds like garbage.
Are you talking about the Leo the Lion anime?
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah, at this point, we finished chapter 1 of the book.
That was fast.
Well, that's the thing too. Obviously, when you can show what happens
without
to describe it.
yeah, if I recall correctly, the book is also very descriptive in terms of characters doing actions or the environment.
The book is very descriptive, but since Takahata can actually
Walk
show
on
what's
train
happening,
tracks.
but since Takahata can actually show what's happening instead of having to describe it to the detail, he can actually get through things quicker.
Also,
keep your eyes on the road. I know it's technically a horseshoe, but
it's very empty.
Also, Dribs, don't worry. Anne's not an idiot like Chloe is, so you don't have to worry about her train tracks.
This is also to set up that background. This is to set up the mood.
This is also setting up one of Anne's primary character traits. We'll get into that. So yeah, let's get that boy that we adopted.
Yeah.
Yes. It's going to be
He's like, excuse me, have you seen a boy about anywhere?
This is also to set up the fact that the place here is very quiet. There's not too much chaos going on. So
I'm sure we'll see a strapping young lad.
And his name shall be Nitro Red. Oh wait.
Remember, Matthew is a bit afraid of females
and he's expecting a boy.
Dear.
It's not even just a female thing. I'm guessing you probably will find interesting, Shuei. It's not even just the female thing. He's just very antisocial in general.
And I guess they're new adopt.
He usually doesn't like to talking to people all that much.
So one of them has to actually say something first.
Yeah.
Methinks that their adoptee being a girl is not going to do well for him initially. This guy sounds like Christopher Miller.
Of course, the one time.
Well, that's it. Well, I mean, hearing, I can, as a Brit, I can relate.
Dweebs, every country has that problem.
That's not a Brit thing. That's a world thing.
Let me tell you.
A common joke here in Britain is that there's a particular kind of train company called Southern Rail that's infamous for having a train show up.
So yeah, guys, there's no boy here, just a girl. Oop-de-doops.
Anyway, I'll mention you later, Dweebs.
So yeah, Mrs. Spencer is actually the woman that handles these kinds of adoption procedures, and she's the one that.
Children are, of course,
it's like that
items.
joke that, yes, I would like to take them like puppies from a kettle.
Again, Takahata is a brilliant character writer, as you can see in this movie, so he was the perfect guy to handle this adaptation.
Awkward.
Well, technically, this writing
here
is from a translator, but...
Well, you know what I mean, this.
I swear, a lot of these voices actually sound familiar, but if they were who I thought they were, they'd probably show up on IMDb.
Go ahead.
Like I said, I'll try to do some more research in between episodes to see if I can find something.
Yeah, she was pretending that if he wasn't going to come, she would sleep on that cherry tree.
She's dedicated.
Yeah. Not just that, Joe, but Anne's primary character is that she has a very, very huge imagination. Mm-hmm. There he goes. Thanks to the visuals, we can actually... The Takahata actually goes out of his way to show her imagination instead of just describing it like the book does.
To symbolize it like it's a fucking Hallmark card.
Again, they just want to frame the moment.
Mm-hmm. Literally.
Did you went to the Charles Dickens School of Being an Orphan?
But that means she has to go to the workhouse and do all those horrible things.
Maybe that's the reason
why she's being sent to a farm, so you know.
And yeah, Matthew being not exactly very talkative, he doesn't quite have. He's just gonna take her and let Marilla handle things, I guess. Because basically, since Matthew, of course, is very, not exactly does much initiative, Marilla is usually the one that handles a lot of things at the house involving any kind of. Yeah, it's so good. It's so great to belong to what you. Because remember, she has never belonged to anybody because she's been an orphan most of her life.
She is one of the most deadbeat orphans I've seen in this time frame or date.
Trust me, Jova. Behind that cheerful disposition, trust me, this is her only way of. Let's just say, Jova, this is her only way of coping.
I get the feeling that if she didn't find a way to cope, she'd become. Oh God, could she become Jack?
That's what her imagination is, Jova. Her imagination is literally her coping mechanism.
I guess that's what's keeping her from becoming Jack the Ripper.
Remember, Jova, that stare towards the tree.
Yeah.
Another thing, of course, is that aside from being very imaginative, she's a very romantic person. She loves reading, she loves talking, and she loves expressing herself very eloquently, as you can see.
My God, girl, you can talk for England.
Oh, don't worry, Dwebs. Morella agrees with you.
Talk for England, eh?
Well, I was talking as him.
Oh, but of course, yes. In fact, I will have you know that I am perfectly good at coming up with small talk even while we're driving here. Like, I could tell you all about the time where I drove along the train here. It was going along at 10 miles an hour part here and there, and then we had to stop around when the buffaloes came through here and there. So then, of course, I had to do my taxes here and there, but of course I had some lovely doting talk and talk. Oh, I must say, I do love the sound of the flutes flowing around here.
Important here.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose he appreciates that a little bit.
Did she have happy stories to say about the orphanage for once? And then they used to beat us every time in the morning.
It's more so the fact that, I mean, maybe Shira can say something about it since I think she knows maybe a bit something about this. But Matthew actually doesn't mind hearing her talk because he doesn't need to respond. He can just enjoy her company in general because she never expects anything from him.
Yes.
As long as he hears, she's fine. Because his primary problem is not that he doesn't like people talking, it's more so that he doesn't like when people expect him to talk back. Yeah.
I'll just drown it out by thinking of my horsey.
Typical England society around the time, here and there.
Well, this is Canada, though.
Wait.
Oh, I guess she was coming from there.
Wait. Oh, so this. Wait. Is the story supposed to take place in
Remember,
Canada?
Jova, Nova Scotia. I made a joke about Nitrite because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's Canadian.
Specifically, it's a fictional town of Avonlea, too, based on Jova, based
and
on
here's the concept art.
based on Cavendish in Prince Edward Island, Jova. So yeah, Canada.
Nova Scotia. Again, I'll admit I just read it up. Nova Scotia is Latin for Scotland.
Huh. I guess I didn't think they were
Well,
Canadian.
I'm more surprised about... Sorry, go on.
Guess I didn't think they were Canadian because of the accents, I'll admit. Like,
yeah. Again,
I thought that this took place more in England.
Canada, do something about that.
What I'm more surprised about is that, again, not being an expert on the geography of that place, but as far as I knew, even in the southern parts of Canada, even in summer, it shouldn't be like this less snowy. I don't know.
This is an important thing that's going to come up various times.
Mm-hmm. We're going into that logical fallacy about how redheads technically don't have red hair, but it's more orange-brown, aren't we?
She doesn't like her red
Remember, Jova, at the time there was the stereotype that red hair people were mostly associated with Irish nationalities, where was the joke that they did not have a soul.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So not only are these people not getting a boy, they're getting a ginger girl.
Yeah, basically.
So the perfect package.
She literally just said she can imagine away her her body, her freckles, but she cannot imagine her red hair away.
Well, if she turns out like Merida, she'll be perfect for farm work.
Yeah, that face says it all.
She's very sensitive about her hair. Just keep this in mind because it's going to come up quite a few times.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and here you go.
Breathe, Anna,
whoa. Oh, God. So many cherry blossoms. I feel myself being overwhelmed of it.
It does
and
look
the music,
pretty.
too.
Good job, Mr. Miyazaki.
But girl, but just make sure to blink, right?
Well, again, imagine the sweat and tears that had to go through all of these backgrounds.
Also, what was
appreciate every petal.
I pity the poor animators.
I was actually going to ask,
what if that last frame just then took like a month?
I was actually going to ask, what was up with that vanishing tree branch?
Also, small angels.
Sometimes they happen.
Okay, I guess they're implying that babies come from cherry blossoms there?
This is just her
imagination. I get the idea that they might have snuck in because it's still a Japanese product, maybe a small Princess Kaguya reference.
Jeez, anything.
Or also a reference to, traditional pixie sprites, very, Celtic folklore, mostly associated with flowers.
Jesus.
So who did the music for this?
I don't remember. I'll have to look it up. We can bring it up next time.
Also, Jova, this was still around. You have to understand one thing that apparently I noticed that a lot of English-speaking people that are not too much familiar with anime understands. A lot of anime is done around this time, and it's still a remnant also in stuff like Dragon Ball. Actually did not have a problem in showcased stuff like potential child nudity because they didn't really put it with malice on it.
Oh,
it's only later
I totally
that,
get that. It's just hope she doesn't get high on daisies.
Kurodo Mori.
Actually, Kurodo Mori. Let me see if IMDb lists him or something.
So yeah, this is also another thing. The reason that's one of the most iconic moments in the novel is because the beauty of that particular bitch literally blew her mind, and now she's literally not talking anymore. Like, that's how much that surprised her, as you can see.
Uh-oh, does the dog sense danger?
Not really.
What if it turns out she's a Terminator?
No, please.
This is also something that Takahata does really well. Quiet moments where he just allows the atmosphere to do its work.
Also, Jova, dogs are pretty fond of horses, from what I've seen.
That I've got me imagining her saying Terminator's lines.
Also, it's the
I'm a cybernetic organism. Let me teach you the metal and the skeleton.
It's the primitive version, Jova, of a dog chasing behind a car. Yeah, true. Hey Pedro, knowing what we know, that's very ironic.
Yeah. So she's gonna come up with her own name for that particular bit.
You have to work a bit on it, and
Yeah, let's workshop that. Touch angle.
Just because
this is the
Battlefield,
animated equivalent of a Seinfeld driving sequence.
Yeah, just because Battlefield horribly misused.
No. I just found it weird how the background was literally tilting diagonally for them. Like, it was weird.
Maybe the camera broke.
So yeah, we're almost to the house.
Yeah, almost there.
Oh boy.
I'm sure everything will be hunky-dory.
Keep your eyes on the road.
This is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's starting to realize this.
2 + 2.
Oh boy.
You were all tempting fate, and I'm so sorry.
Except now.
Wow. All it took was a horse ride, and he's already starting to get attached.
That's also another thing. There was also back then this stereotype that freckles were a symbol of ugliness or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to do. It doesn't necessarily have to do that. It's just he doesn't want to break her heart.
Well,
yeah, that. And remember, in tradition, he doesn't know what to say.
Preview.
This kind of preview for the next episode sounds like, like a soap opera way.
That was
next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Oh,
so that was so going off Jover's headcanon, that was Terminator 6 and of Green Gables.
Yes, and the next episode is called Marilla Cuthbert is Surprised, and guess what the name of chapter 3 is?
Pedro is surprised.
No, Marilla Cuthbert is surprised. So
everyone is surprised.
So we're literally going chapter by chapter by chapter, with titles and everything.
Get ready for a surprise.
Exactly. Okay. Before we give up, let me just bring up something real quick here. So, I'm reading right now a little bit from chapter 1 of the book, Mrs. Rachel Lynn the Surprise. Matthew so rarely went to home Rachel Lynn was surprised, so she went. According to After Tea, she says she doesn't generally go to town this time of year, and he never visits. So she went to Marilla to ask what the hell was going on, and guess what? That story about the girl that burned shit down and stuff, it's also here, and it says the same thing. We're not getting a girl. So yeah, that conversation between Marilla and Rachel is basically point by point, like in the book. And when we get to the White Way of the Light, in the book, it also describes how after going through the White Way of the Light, Anne was just so enchanted by it that she just stopped talking for like a few minutes. So the book, and that's why we also did this in the episode. So the episode is basically following the book pretty much by the letter, basically, even including minor pauses that the book points out. So yeah, this is basically this is literally illustrating the book, basically. So yeah, that was the first episode. Matthew Cuthbert is surprised. Final thoughts, Dibs. Well, final thoughts. I mean, what do you think so far? Sorry.
It seems interesting enough. So, I mean, there's not much I can say because it's only the first episode. But I think overall, it's working decently so far.
So this is a problem, though. We need someone to tell Anne that this was all a mistake and she has to go back to the orphanage. Dibs, you tell her.
Sorry, Anne. There's been a mistake. You have to go back to the orphanage. For some reason, we can't tell the difference between a boy and a girl when we picked you up.
Don't worry, Dibs. We're actually gonna. we're actually going to explain what exactly happened for this misunderstanding, so you'll get the explanation
You see, we thought that it was due that you would need a girl to show you the true values of life here. That is how we work at the Nanny McPhee Academy of weird boggling messages and morals.
Mm-hmm.
Person you need is that.
So, Shiroi, what do you think so far? Although you've seen this before, to be fair.
No, it's fantastic so far. I just know a little bit about where it's going, and hey.
Hey, Jova, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a good start overall, you know, I mean, like, well, it definitely does seem like it is a very good setup for what can be an interesting venture here and there. And in terms of bringing a book to, well, the silver screen via anime here and there, I can't really say I see anything wrong with it so far. So far, so good.
Teo.
Okay, like you mentioned, what I grew up with this, my memory is foggy aside from specific details, and sadly, this first episode is one of them. Again, it's pretty neat. The thing that's mostly admirable for me, obviously, is the presentation, both the music, as it's a custom for anime of the time, but most importantly, the animation. The backgrounds are deliberately left on that kind of painted style. Much like in a video game of the PlayStation, like Final Fantasy 7, so when the characters have a more contrast towards it, and you can notice them when they're moving, and even the character design, the facial expression, and everything. The voice acting, as someone who normally can't stand English dub for a Japanese anime, the voice acting is probably one of the more tolerable that I heard so far. So that's a pretty accomplishment, to say. I haven't actually read the book, so originally, surprisingly enough, I probably should at some point.
Well, Teo, as someone who did both, this is a perfectly.
Oh no, I can imagine. It's mostly stemmed for curiosity's sake.
You can only you only need to do one or the other, Teo. When you've seen this, you've pretty much read the book, for pretty much.
I can imagine. Regardless, it's a very decent first episode, especially when you really get down to it, not much happens.
Well, that's because this is a slice of life thing. This is literally this doesn't really have a villain or a hero or anything or any kind of big structural story. This is we're just watching the lives of these people unfold before our eyes.
Like I said in the past, one of the reasons why that kind of thing managed to catch me enough with stuff like Higurashi because there was also the mystery in the background that could drive me on that front. So when it's not, instead of more straightforward case like this one, I am to actually try to fully grasp what's the thing that makes it an exception, because normally, me, I prefer the type of story that actually goes, with a bit more meat on top of it, instead of taking its time and relaxing for the characters to, to just do normal stuff. But maybe, again, rewatching this entirety will give me actually an actual reason. Next.
All right, before I finish, check this out. Just to give you guys a good idea of how literal it is. So right after in the book, I'm reading the book right now. Right after we went for the wet way of the light. Here's the actual lines from the book, and I'm reading right now. Pretty? Oh, pretty doesn't seem the right word to use, nor beautiful either. They don't go far enough. Oh, it was wonderful, wonderful. It's the first thing I ever saw that couldn't be improved upon by imagination. It just satisfies me here. She put one hand on her breast, whatever. It made a queer, funny ache, and it was a pleasant ache. Did you ever felt an ache like that, Mr. Cuthbert? Well, no, I can't recollect that I ever had. So you can see, and then she goes on about it. Anyways, just right here. They should call it. Let me see. The white way of the light. There you go. So as you can see, this scene from the book that I just read is basically just copy pasted into this.
Almost 1-to-1, yes.
Basically 1-to-1. The dialogue in this English dub, because they dubbed the German dub. This is a dub of a dub, but it still comes across the meaning just well. The original Japanese dialogue written by Takahata is more 1-to-1 in terms of wording, but again, the message gets across perfectly fair even in this English dub, because it's basically on point. Like the writing is most of the dialogue and narration is basically taken directly from the book. So that's why I kept saying to you, like when you're watching this, you're basically reading the book. Basically, this is the
Lovely.
ultimate book. This is the ultimate way of cheating in book class. Basically.
All right. So
All right.
tune in for
So
episode
tune in
2.
next time for chapter 3 of the book. Oh, I'm sorry, episode 2 of the anime. Marilla Cuthbert is surprised. Yes, we're literally going chapter by chapter. So tune in for that, everybody.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.